Part 18. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 171. Suren slowly condensed all the lake water into a ball and began to compress it continuously. The lake that originally covered the sky and the sun shrank rapidly, and turned into a super water ball in a few seconds. The water ball slowly shrunk, and the pressure inside it made the blood demon panic. Its clone is also constantly being compressed and squeezed. If this continues, its body will not be able to bear it. Damn humans! The blood demon roared angrily, and it finally couldn't bear it any longer. Suren smiled slightly when he heard the blood demon's voice. Even if it didn't make a sound, Suren had already found all its blood clones. If it's water, then it's your own responsibility. If it's hidden in the water, then it's hidden in the wrong place. The reason why the lake water was squeezed like this was just because Suren remembered the knowledge from his previous life. Water is extremely difficult to compress. Suren suddenly had a whim and wanted to see what water would look like after being infinitely compressed. However, the water hadn't changed much yet, and the blood demon couldn't stand it any longer. It was so uncomfortable, it felt like it would be squeezed dry if it stayed in there for another second. Blood demon had no idea that it had become Suren's test subject. Roar! The blood demon gathered all his clones and used his original power again to rush out of the lake. Human, you pissed me off. As soon as the blood demon came out, a bloody hand pressed over him. The sky was full of blood, and it looked like the end of the world was coming. Suren blocked its attack at will. Huh? Are you okay? How so? The blood demon was shocked. The human simply ignored its skills and didn't even shake. Human, take another hit from me. The blood demon roared, then suddenly rushed towards the crowd and grabbed Yangan, Denyan and Zhou Changsheng with one hand. Escape. The space fluctuated violently, and a gap appeared in the small world space. The blood demon escaped with the three of them without looking back. Suren was stunned by the series of operations. The blood demon shouted in a fierce voice, but he and Suren started to attack each other in the east and west. Before leaving, he was very generous and took all his people away at the risk. Others present were also confused by its operation. Just ran away. He was running so fast, with no intention of stopping at all. The first ones to panic were the wealthy businessmen who joined the Night God cult. Now that the Yeshen cult people have escaped, they will suffer. Just now they killed many of the remaining rich man's guards. Spare my life. Someone immediately knelt down. We are also bewitched by the Night God cult, we can't help ourselves. Yes, it's all those people from the Night God sect who bewitched us, and it really has nothing to do with us. This group of people begged for mercy one after another and put the blame on cult Yeshen. Fart your M. Cao Bufan roared angrily and struck a knife on the head of a rich man not far away from him. His younger brother died, and several of his disciples and students also died in the collapse of the heavenly palace. One of his hands was disabled. With the three kinds of hatred combined, he could no longer control the anger in his heart. Keng. Feng Tianchen knocked the knife out of his hand with a sword and said coldly. It's not up to you to make the decision here. Feng Tianchen's heavenly palace was destroyed, the grand party was ruined, and the substitute he had used for decades died. He was extremely angry at this time. But these people must be judged together, and the final decision needs to be discussed together. The most important thing is that he wants to ask the senior for his opinion. If it weren't for that senior, no one would be able to escape the control of the Night God cult today. Feng Tiancheng put away his sword, walked to Suren, bowed and asked. Senior, what should we do with those people? Suren glanced at it, thought for a while and then said. We'll catch the mastermind later. The mastermind? Aren't they from the Night God sect? but they have already used space skills to escape. They are probably no longer in Liulai Island. And it's night outside now. If they dare to use space skills to run, they must have the confidence to go directly to a place with the awakening temple. If you wait until daybreak to chase after him, it may already be too late. Suren shook his head. Can't run away. After Suren finished speaking, he raised his sword and slashed out, but this time it was not a sword draw, but a 100% chance of being caught with his bare hands. The East China Sea is hundreds of kilometers away from Liulai Island. On a half-sized island protected by the Temple of Awakening. The space fluctuated, and the blood demon successfully escaped with the three of them. As soon as he landed, the blood demon lost his footing and fell to the ground. Lord Protector. The three people quickly helped the blood demon up. Fortunately, it didn't forget them when it escaped, otherwise the three of them would definitely not be able to get out of Liulai Island. Master Protector, are you okay? The blood demon coughed, the red light in his eyes disappeared, and his body turned from red to pale. Something happened, I almost died. In order to save you, I have exhausted 90% of my original power. When you and Yeshen report, don't forget the sacrifice of this protector, and don't push it on me if anything happens, do you understand? Zhou Changsheng and the others. Master Protector, since you are like this, don't think about anything else, right? This is, important. After dawn, go to the sea and catch me some fish. I want blood. Yes, Lord Protector. The three of them helped the blood demon sit down, and the three of them also found a place to rest. This mission was a complete failure. They even almost fell on Liulai Island. Zhou Changsheng, who is the man wearing the mask? Yang An looked at Zhou Changsheng. That man came out to stir up trouble in Liulikan, but he never expected that he turned out to be an extremely strong man. Zhou Changsheng shook his head. I don't know. It seems that the raw energy stone that day was also manipulated by him. Otherwise, how could I lose to Xiao Ding? Humph, you are still thinking about Xiao Ding, first think about how to apologize to the leader and Yeshen. Den Yan, who was on the side, tried to stop the fight and said, okay, stop arguing. Now at least your life is saved. As soon as Den Yan finished speaking, Zhou Changsheng felt himself being forcibly pulled by a huge force, and the space where he was located also fluctuated. Help me! Zhou Changsheng shouted in fear, and the next moment he disappeared alive in front of Yang An and the two. Yang An and the two stood up in horror and looked around, but found nothing. Apart from them, there was not even a bird feather around. What's going on? Where is Zhou Changsheng? At this time, the blood demon lying behind the stone shook his head and said in despair. Stop looking for him, he was forcibly taken away using space skills. That human must have done it. My life is at stake. Hearing this, Yang An and the two looked at each other in despair. It seemed that they were destined to be unable to escape today. They didn't understand how there could be such a terrifying skill in this world, capable of forcibly abducting others from hundreds of kilometers away. What is the difference between this and gods? Inside the small world of Liulai Island. When Suren slashed with his sword, Zhou Changsheng had already raised his hands and knelt on the ground to catch the knife in Suren's hand. Seeing Zhou Changsheng, Suren smiled and said, Hello, Boss Zhou, we meet again. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 172. Hearing this voice, Zhou Changsheng trembled and slowly raised his head to look. A man wearing a white jade mask was staring at him. It's over. This was Zhou Changsheng's first thought. Why? Why me? I'm just a part-timer. Zhou Changsheng was so frightened that he almost peed. He didn't know why this man didn't arrest the blood demon instead of Yang An and the others, but instead arrested him. In fact, Suren also wanted to capture the blood demon, but there was a limit to the skill of being able to catch him with bare hands. It must be something Suren knows and is familiar with. The specific scope of the definition is not stated, we can only test it. Suren tried the other people, but only Zhou Changsheng was able to capture them by force. Maybe it was because Suren had dealt with him in Liulifang and was considered a familiar type. So naturally, Zhou Zhang was the unlucky one among the others. Suren withdrew the knife, and Zhou Changsheng lost his balance and knelt on the ground. If you want to kill or behead me, please do as you please. He knew he couldn't run away and had resigned himself to his fate. At this time, everyone was extremely shocked by Suren's unpredictable methods. Zhou Changsheng was unexpectedly forcibly captured, and his spatial skills were useless in front of this man. Su, Senior Su, can the other people be captured? Feng Tiancheng became more respectful and his voice became much softer. Suren looked at Zhou Changsheng and asked, "Where did they go?" Suren has the wormhole skill, but it requires a location coordinate. Haha, I do not know. Zhou Changsheng suddenly laughed. This man did not use this weird skill again, which meant that he must have limitations. Aren't you afraid of death? Afraid? Of course I am afraid of death. If I were not afraid of death, I would have died more than 10 years ago. However, I will not betray the night god called. Just kill me. I didn't see that you are still a tough guy. Suren originally thought that Zhou Changsheng was a man who was greedy for life and afraid of death, but he turned out to be quite harsh. Without the coordinates on the opposite side, Suren couldn't find where they were. Forget it, I'll leave him to you. Suren stopped caring. In fact, the night god sect had not affected him at all. He just allowed himself to be passively involved in their dispute. After Suren said this, a group of people pointed at Zhou Changsheng and cursed. Kill this bitch. Kill him. I want to avenge my cousin. Even the group of people who had just joined the Yeshen cult stood up and scolded Zhou Changsheng. They want to ask for forgiveness from the person on the other side in this way. The wall fell and everyone pushed it, and humanity was vividly displayed at this moment. Zhou Changsheng simply closed his eyes and waited for death to come. At this time, Xiao Ding took 2 steps forward, walked to Suren and knelt down directly. Brother Su, please spare Changsheng this time. From now on, Xiao Ding will obey your orders no matter what. Xiao Ding has always felt guilty about him, even though he had made peace with him last time at Liulikan. But let him see his former brother die in front of him, he couldn't do it no matter what. Today, as long as Suren said to let Zhou Changsheng go, no one present would dare to say no. Even if they were dissatisfied, they would not dare to go against Suren's wishes. Get up, why are you kneeling to me? Brother Su, I beg you, let him go. Xiao Ding kowtowed heavily. He tried to harm you again and again, but you begged for him again and again. Is it worth it? Xiao Ding raised his head, looked at Zhou Changsheng beside him, and sighed. It doesn't matter whether it's worth it or not, it just depends on whether you are willing or not. We are brothers for one day and we will be brothers for life. Zhou Changsheng also turned to look at Xiao Ding at this time. At this moment, his eyes were full of complex colors. Xiao Ding, did you really want to take money to save me back then? I want to hear the truth. Xiao Ding nodded. When I heard what happened to you, I immediately took the money and prepared to rescue you, but my brother threatened to die, so I'm sorry, I chose my brother. Hearing this, Zhou Changsheng smiled bitterly and helplessly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so persistent back then. I should have listened to you. If it weren't for that stone, I think we would still be the same friends we once talked about. I, Zhou Changsheng, made a mistake. I am sorry for you. Zhou Changsheng helped Xiao Ding up. I'm not worthy of you kneeling down and praying to others, so stand up for me. In the future, don't kneel down to others easily. Xiao Ding looked at him in confusion, not knowing what he was going to do. Changshen, you. Zhou Changshen looked at him and smiled easily, his eyes seemed to be lost in memories. Goodbye, my best friend. Puff. A dagger pierced Zhou Changshen's chest and went straight into his heart. It was him who moved his hand suddenly, and no one reacted. Immortality. Xiao Ding quickly supported his fallen body and looked at him with tears in his eyes. Why? I can save you, but Brother Su won't kill you. He won't kill you. Zhou Changsheng shook his head. I know, but because of me, so many people died today. If you save me, then you will offend others. I should have died more than 10 years ago. I have earned a living by living so long. Live well. His voice became softer and quieter as he spoke, and in the end he could no longer be heard clearly. Xiao Ding held his body and couldn't stop crying. Hundreds of people on the field just watched the scene quietly, and no one said a word. After a long time, Xiao Ding stood up and looked at Su Ren. Brother Su, can I take his body away? I want to bury him in our hometown. At this time someone objected. Boss Xiao, this person's crime cannot be punished. He committed suicide to gain advantage for him. His body should be minced and fed to the fish. Isn't it appropriate for you to take his body away? Yes, my more than 10 guards are all elders of the family. Now there are only 3 alive. I can't wait to eat their flesh alive. You can't take away his body. Snort. Su Ren looked at these people and snorted coldly. Is it your turn to talk? When Su Ren shouted like this, everyone was so frightened that they quickly shut up. However, some people still had the courage to say softly. You, no matter how strong you are, you still have to have rules. Rule. What I say now are the rules. Su Ren no longer looked at these people, but looked at Xiao Ding and said. Take his body away when you leave the island. Who dares to stop me? After Su Ren finished speaking, he looked at everyone coldly again. Thank you, Brother Su. Xiao Ding bowed and saluted. These people were so frightened by Su Ren's tyranny that they dared not speak out anymore. Whoever is his opponent here, together they are not enough to kill him. In a place like this, strength is everything. The strong make the rules, and they can only follow the rules made by the strong. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 173. Senior, what should we do next? Feng Tiancheng looked at Du Jingyun and his group. The guards of these people personally participated in the attack just now. If there is injustice, there will be revenge. If there is revenge, you can resolve it yourself. Hearing this, Su Ren had sentenced them to death. It is absolutely impossible for the remaining people to be spared. Give my brother his life. Cao Bufan was the first to rush forward. However, these people cannot sit still and let others slaughter them. Immediately, several people shouted. Brothers, we are all going to die anyway, let's fight. This man responded to his call, and a dozen rank 7 masters immediately joined his team. As for the remaining 7th level masters, they did not kill anyone. At most, they were punished, and the crime did not lead to death. So they watched from behind and did not take action. How dare you be so presumptuous? Feng Tiancheng slashed out with his sword, and sword lights of 7 different colors flew out. Although he was seriously overdrawn from the battle with the blood demon, he was a peak level 8 professional and held an artifact. It's not easy to kill these dozens of rank 7s. The 7-color sword light shuttled among a dozen people several times, and finally flew back to Feng Tiancheng's sword. The dozen or so people who had been shouting just now fell to the ground one after another without making any sound. Everyone was shocked again when they saw this. Level 8 peak professionals, even at the end of their strength, are still terrifying. Thinking about it again, Feng Tiancheng couldn't hurt the blood demon even with all his strength. How strong is the blood demon? How strong was the masked man who killed the blood demon clone with one strike and forced the blood demon to escape? After comparison, everyone understood the horror of Suren. The few people who dared to object and complain just now could not help but shrink their necks. The other party was quite reasonable, but if they had taken action directly, they would have died 100 times over. After taking care of these guards, the next step is the group of rich people. Spare my life. Du Jingyun was the first to kneel down. He doesn't want to die yet, he hasn't figured out the truth about the world yet, and he still wants to live for a few more decades. Puff. Cao Bufan slashed him to death, but he didn't care who the other person was. Now he would dare to kill anyone who could avenge his brother. Xiao Ding frowned when he saw this, but did not stop him. Although the two brothers Cao Bufan had been making things difficult for him along the way, now all the people Cao Bufan brought with him were dead, including his younger brother. He also suffered retribution. As long as Cao Bufan no longer provokes him, he won't bother to care about him. At this time, someone else joined the revenge team. Most of them were their brothers and friends who died in this turmoil. Half of the more than 30 rich people who joined the Yeshen cult died, and the rest were smart enough to prevent their subordinates from killing them. But compensation is indispensable. Suren searched for a while in the crowd, and finally found a wealthy man, Ichiro Koizumi, who was only about 1.6 meters tall. He did not join the Yeshen cult, nor did he die in the collapse of the heavenly palace. But he was particularly scared now, so he used his height advantage to hide behind the crowd. He remembered clearly that when he was photographing Longjing that night, Xiao Ding took the picture of the man wearing the mask. Moreover, the other party even glanced at him after getting the dragon crystal. He didn't pay any attention at the time. But it's different now. He didn't know that the other party would be so strong. He just hoped that Suren couldn't see him. However, his wish failed, as Suren specially selected him. How could Suren forget him if he dared to cheat him by 100 billion? Koizumi Ichiro, do you want to come out on your own or should I ask you to come out? Hearing Suren's sudden words, everyone couldn't help but look in the direction Suren was looking. Didn't Ichiro Koizumi join the Yagami cult? What is Senior Su going to do? Haha, I see that you are on the island these 2 days. At the party 3 days ago, Ichiro Koizumi and Xiao Ding deliberately raised the price for a monster crystal core. It costs Xiao Ding an extra 100 billion. I saw clearly at the time that Xiao Ding's thing was taken to give to Senior Su. So that's it? Now there's something good to see. The people of the Dragon Kingdom already hate the people of the Sakura Kingdom. I think Senior Su is going to settle the matter now. Hey, it's better to make fewer enemies in the future. Maybe you'll offend some hidden boss. You see, Ichiro Koizumi is almost scared to death. Koizumi Ichiro looked at the guards behind him, wanting to seek their help. But when he looked over, several guards lowered their heads. You. I spent a lot of money to hire you, how dare you not help me? Koizumi Ichiro looked at several people angrily. Your Excellency Ichiro Koizumi, your little money won't let us die, right? Stop joking, we will refund your money. After they finished speaking, they took out a few business cards and returned them to him. Forget about almost dying this time. He also wanted them to offend the man in the mask. They are not stupid, they want to live a few more years. Idiot. Where is the spirit of your contract? Several people tilted their heads and did not look at him. Koizumi Ichiro had no choice but to walk out of the crowd and walk towards Suren. Koizumi Ichiro was shocked and was about to shout for help. I wonder if you have anything else to do. Koizumi Ichiro's head is swung very low, and coupled with his height of 1.6 meters, he looks even shorter. What? Suren nodded. How do you think you should compensate me for my losses? Koizumi Jiro is your brother, right? Your Excellency, our auction is fair. Suren's voice became colder and he asked slowly. Can you say that again? There are 300 billion here. Please accept it. I apologize to you. Your brother owes me something, and I need you to pay it back for him. Then he discovered that his body was bleeding out uncontrollably. Ichiro Koizumi stretched out his hands, bowed and handed over his bank card. Koizumi Ichiro asked tremblingly. Koizumi Ichiro nodded. This matter was well known to everyone and he could not hide it. What? More. Suren took the bank card and put it into his backpack. Koizumi Ichiro raised his head and forced a smile. Well, let's talk about that night when you cheated me of 100 billion. Suren still looked down at him, feeling uncomfortable. He owes me his life, and I need you to pay it back for him. Heh, that's pretty much it? Sir, am I okay? Koizumi Ichiro suddenly had an ominous premonition, but he still mustered up the courage to ask. That's good, I didn't find the wrong person. Is that okay? Your Excellency. Keep your head up, I'm having trouble talking to you. This matter is over, I still have one more thing to ask you. What? No matter what it is, as long as I can help you, I will do my best. Koizumi Ichiro's face was ashen and he had to take out several business cards from the system backpack. I've met your Excellency. I wonder what you want from me. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 174. Koizumi Ichiro wanted to say something, but his throat was filled with blood and he couldn't speak at all. Suren approached him and said something in a voice that only the two of them could hear. There's something else I want to tell you. My name is Suren, and your brother Koizumi Erlang also died in my hands. Hearing this, Koizumi Ichiro's eyes were as big as copper bells. You, ho. Koizumi Ichiro pointed at Suren unwillingly, but he couldn't say what he wanted to say. Boom. Koizumi Ichiro's body fell straight to the ground, dying tragically. When the onlookers saw this scene, they involuntarily backed away and wanted to stay away from Suren. Who is the blood demon? Koizumi Ichiro's body hemorrhaged and died, which really frightened many people. This method looks like the blood demon's method. Feng Tiancheng, who was closest, frowned when he saw the way Koizumi Ichiro died. He didn't see Suren take action at all, and then Ichiro Koizumi's body overflowed with blood. This made him feel cold. If the man in front of him wanted to kill them, it would probably be no different than killing a chicken. Fortunately, the other party has no thoughts of taking action against others for the time being. The only thing he can be sure of now is that this person is from the Dragon Kingdom. But he knew all the major ninth-turn professionals in Dragon Kingdom, but he couldn't tell who this person was with his methods. Alas, the Dragon Kingdom's crouching tiger, hidden dragon, the strength shown on the surface must be deceiving us. Senior Su must be the hidden super boss of Dragon Kingdom. I must treat him carefully. Thinking of this, Feng Tianquan's posture became even lower. With things developing to this point, the grand event will definitely not be held. Feng Tianquan could only announce. I'm sorry everyone, this grand event was sabotaged by the Yeshen cult. It was the owner of this island who neglected his duty. Island owner, you're welcome. I can't blame you for this. Yes, if the island owner and Senior Su hadn't taken action, we would have become the puppets of the Night God sect long ago. Feng Tianquan nodded. It's getting late, let's go back and rest first. Everyone came out of the small world together and immediately smelled the smell of blood. Broken. Feng Tiancheng quickly flew down the mountain. Sure enough, all the service staff on Liulai Island were killed by the blood demon. Yakama cult. Seeing this scene, Feng Tiancheng cursed his mother angrily. If he wants to restore Liulai Island to its glory, he must train more people to enter the island. Don't even think about it for a few years. On the way down the mountain, Mordekaiser found Xiao Ding again and talked about cooperation. Now he doesn't want to find anyone, he just wants to cooperate with Xiao Ding. As long as Xiao Ding agrees and has the help of the person next to him, he doesn't need anyone else at all. Seeing this, Xiao Ding could only look to Suren for his opinion. 19 points, don't let others say we bully others. When Xiao Ding heard Suren's reply, the corner of his mouth twitched. Isn't 19 points considered bullying? But when Mordekaiser heard this condition, he smiled and immediately agreed. Not to mention 19, he is willing to give money. Boss Xiao, from now on you will be our Caesars Group's largest partner in the world. Mordekaiser held hands with Xiao Ding, but he looked at Suren aside from the corner of his eye. If I have the help of such a strong person, I will definitely be able to get that thing. At this time, Mu Hongxia was also looking at Suren. When Mu Liansheng found out, he couldn't help but feel worried. He had already discovered that his daughter had been staring at Senior Su before today. Now that he was watching even when he was walking, he wondered if his daughter might be attracted by Senior Su's strength. Could it be that you have fallen in love with Senior Su? Mu Liansheng was shocked when he thought of this. With such terrifying strength, this man must be at the age of a bad old man. My daughter is only 22 this year, what if? Mu Liansheng didn't dare to think about it anymore and quickly grabbed Mu Hongxia and took her away from the crowd. Dad, what are you doing? Mu Hongxia looked at her biological father in confusion. Daughter, I have no objection to worshipping the strong. That is your freedom, but if the age gap between the two parties is too big. That, I don't think it's very appropriate. Dad, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand? Mu Hongxia looked confused. Hey, daughter, why are you staring at Senior Su? It's nothing, I just look familiar to him, and I'm a little curious about who he is. Hearing this, Mu Liansheng secretly said something bad. Her daughter has never been in love. She doesn't know how much love is caused by one party's curiosity about the other. Now my daughter is curious about Senior Su. No, daughter, listen to your father's advice and find someone of similar age. I can accept someone 10 years older, but this. I object to this marriage. Mu Liansheng simply said it directly. The scene suddenly became a little quiet. Xiao Ding found Suren and talked about his plans for the next few days. Mu Hongxia's face was as red as the morning glow, and she looked particularly eye-catching under the illumination of the street lamp. Oh, Dad, you misunderstood. He is so powerful. He must be the same age as my grandfather. How could I like him? Real. On an island in the East China Sea. Dad, what are you talking about? After learning that the mission had failed, Protector Wright cursed directly. Tomorrow I will rob and kill him myself. But Lord Protector, that person can also control water. He just passed. If you are about the same age as me, I can accept it. How can it be false? There is no way I can like your daughter. How come my father told me that I like him? Protector Wright interrupted Yang An's words. Everyone returned to the hotel, helped clean up the body, and then went back to their rooms. Will you go back tomorrow? A bunch of trash. Yechuo is usually so arrogant in the church, but he was defeated by a human. It's really a shame for the vampires. That's good. I'll be relieved about your dad then. Yang An got in touch with the right guardian in the sect. Good. Well, when I get back to Coast City, I'm going to take Changshen's body back to our hometown for burial. She has never been in love, But she is not stupid. Mu Lianshen nodded. Tomorrow you will watch from a distance and see how this protector kills him. If you go back to Kyoto, you can stay with Mu Lianshen and his daughter. Look at you, your face is red, and you still say no? Anyway, I don't agree with it. Do you think this protector's ability to control water is inferior to his? Mu Lianshen's tone was very firm. There was no need to discuss this matter. But it's normal. Liulai Island is now paralyzed. Apart from outsiders like them, only Feng Tiancheng and 3 others are left. Next he has to do the 3rd mission. What is this all about? She was just curious about who Suren was. The sea is his home ground, and he is confident that he will kill that person with one strike. Before Suren came, he said he would stay for a week. Suren nodded. Enough. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 175. Early the next morning, Suren, Mu Lianshen, and others set out together. However, all the service personnel died, and the flying boat was unmanned. Fortunately, Fias who only needs to set a fixed route to set off, otherwise it would be a problem for them to return. Of course, Suren has a wormhole, so it won't be that troublesome. It's just a matter of exposing his identity. I have kept it secret until now, and there is no shortage of time to go back. On the way, Cao Bufan walked up to Xiao Ding and Suren for the first time and apologized. I'm sorry, Boss Xiao, what happened in the past was my brother. Speaking of this, Cao Bufan choked up and said. It's my fault. Please forgive me for my arrogance and ignorance. Cao Bufan glanced at Suren and bowed again. It wasn't until yesterday that he realized how stupid and ignorant he was before. If it weren't for the generosity of Senior Su in front of him, he would have been a corpse after he mocked those words on the first day. Even Donghai Academy couldn't protect him. Because there are no rank 9 experts in Donghai Academy. To put it bluntly, such a top powerhouse really killed him in public, and even the Ministry of National Defense did not dare to speak. No one dared to question it. Xiao Ding looked at him and shook his head. This man was so arrogant a few days ago, and now he is so humble. Everything is based on strength and the influence brought by Suren. Forget it, I'm sorry for the death of your brother and your student. In the future, you should keep a low profile in your conduct. Stop causing trouble out of thin air. Yes, thank you Boss Xiao for your warning, and thank you Senior Su. Cao Bufan resigned and walked aside. Ever since his brother died, he seemed to be a different person. The arrogant and domineering Cao Bufan is gone. Of course, after Suren showed his strength, he did not dare to be arrogant anymore. At this time, Mu Lianshen came over with his daughter. Senior Su, are you also from Kyoto? I heard from Brother Xiao that you are traveling with us. No. Hearing Suren's denial, Mu Lianshen denied his suspicion about Suren's identity. So, Senior Su, do you have any relatives in Kyoto? There is only one wealthy family in Kyoto named Su. It is said that the current head of the Su family, Sulai, is already at the peak of rank 7. The old man of the Su family was a master of rank 8 20 years ago. Therefore, Mu Lianshen guessed that the Senior Su in front of him was most likely the old man of the Su family. Suren still shook his head. Seeing Suren's denial, Mu Lianshen was a little confused, and decided to visit the Su family when he returned. Then he inquired about Mr. Su's whereabouts. If it is confirmed that it is Mr. Su, it is necessary to prepare a generous gift. After all, Senior Su also saved his father and daughter. On the way, the group of people talked and laughed. Of course, Mu Lianshen and Xiao Ding were talking most of the time. Suren basically didn't speak, just stood on the edge of the deck and looked at the scenery on the sea. Now, thanks to Xiao Ding, Mu Lianshen has obtained the business cooperation rights on another continent. Although it is not in the Dragon Kingdom, it is still a big business, which can bring huge benefits to his Mew family. The flying boat continued to move forward, but they didn't know that there were already several people lying in wait on the sea waiting for their flying boat to arrive. On the endless sea, a lone boat floats quietly on the sea. No matter how strong the wind and waves are, it can remain as stable as a mountain in the wind and waves, and there is no way it can be overturned. On the lone boat, Blood Demon, Yang and Den Yan, who had recovered some of their blood, were looking at the sea water below in a daze. After a while, a huge whirlpool suddenly appeared in the sea. Then a waterspout quickly emerged from the sea. This incident almost turned the lonely boat over. Shui Dongliu. Did you do it on purpose? The Blood Demon stabilized the lone boat, looked at the figure slowly appearing on the waterspout, and cursed loudly. If it hadn't heard its origin now, it would have rushed up and started a fight with Shui Dongliu just based on the opponent's provocative actions. Yang and Den Yan also dared to be angry but dare not speak out. If they were thrown into the sea on this vast sea, even rank 8 experts would have to lose a layer of skin before they could escape. On the waterspout, Shui Dongliu said indifferently. What? Just this little wind and wave scared you? Speaking of this, Shui Dongliu changed the topic. No wonder this mission failed. I said let me do it, but you want to take the credit. Yato, I don't know how you should explain to the leader and Yeshen now. The Blood Demon showed no sign of weakness when he heard this, and said fiercely. Humph, I will explain the situation to the leader of the church, but you are in trouble. Do you really think that the other party is some kind of three-legged cat and stinky shrimp? Don't blame me for not warning you, I won't save you later. Ha 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 ha. Shui Dongliu seemed to have heard some big joke. Help me. Yato, don't forget, this is the sea. Even if the leader comes here, I'm not afraid of him, just because of the person you mentioned. Who is he? Is he worthy of fighting with me on the sea? Hearing this, the Blood Demon hesitated a little. In the water, it is indeed Shui Dongliu's home field. Even in its heyday, it could not beat Shui Dongliu. So he wasn't sure whether that person could defeat Shui Dongliu. However, when he thought of the opponent's terrifying sword skills, the Blood Demon still trembled in fear. Now it just hopes that the other party can cruelly torture it and let the water flow away. This way the leader and Yeshen won't blame them for this failure. Thinking of this, Blood Demon stopped arguing with Shui Dongliu and urged the lone boat to sail far away to the sea. If Shui Dongliu wins, he will definitely be ridiculed and run far away to lose sight of him. Out of sight and out of mind. If Shui Dongliu loses at that time, it will be convenient for him to escape. It can be said to be the best of both worlds. Seeing the Blood Demon running so far, Shui Dongliu shook his head disdainfully. How can 3 losers achieve great things with such cowardice? When will the Night God sect realize that great dream? After Shui Dongliu finished talking to himself, the waterspout went back into the sea, and his figure disappeared into the sea. The sea was calm again. An hour later, a flying boat flew from the sky at high speed. It was the flying boat of Suren and his party. Finally come. Shui Dongliu launched an attack instantly. The originally calm sea suddenly rolled up into huge waves, and the sky that was cloudless just now became violently windy. The flying boat plunged into the storm, and was suddenly swept to a stop and began to sway in the wind. What's going on? Where did the storm come from? Xiao Ding grabbed the handrail and looked around strangely. This storm seemed to have appeared out of thin air, leaving them completely unprepared. Fortunately, the flying boat has a defensive shield, otherwise this kind of storm could blow them into the sea. Mu Lianshen looked towards the sea and exclaimed. There's movement in the sea. Will there be a great monster? Peerless Great Demon is a title that can only be enjoyed by monsters above level 800. It doesn't matter if it's a peerless monster. I'm afraid it's the Night God sect that's still evil. Xiao Ding glanced at Suren beside him. As long as Suren was here, no peerless monster would be of any use. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 176. Boom. A thunder sounded. A waterspout tens of meters high rose from the sea. Shui Dongliu stood at the top of the waterspout, looked at the people on the flying boat and asked. Who sabotaged our night god cult's plan last night? Come forward and let me see it. Mu Liansheng was shocked when he heard this. He is indeed a member of the night god cult. He claims to be a protector. Could it be that this person is also a rank 9 top powerhouse like the blood demon? Oh, is that good-for-nothing blood demon worthy of being compared with me? Shui Dongliu said calmly. Let me introduce myself. My name is Shui Dongliu, and I am the right protector of the night god section. When I send you on your way later, you will also know who killed you. Are all the people in the night god sect so arrogant? Suren looked at him and asked. Where is the blood demon? I have something to do with him. Suren still hasn't forgotten about catching the blood demon as a pet beast. The right protector is here, so the blood demon shouldn't be here. Humph, it seems you are the strong man it says. You don't have to look for it. That coward has gone somewhere. Now, let me save you. Shui Dongliu raised his hand, and a huge water column rushed straight into the flying boat. Boom. The defensive shield was penetrated without even blocking a single blow. When the water column was about to hit the body of the flying boat, it suddenly turned around and flew towards Shui Dongliu. Shui Dongliu glanced at Suren in surprise and dodged the attack. You can actually control my water column. It seems that you still have some ability. No wonder Yato, that loser, lost to you. But that's it for now. Before Shui Dongliu finished speaking, he realized that the blood in his body was overflowing. This startled him, and he shouted quickly. The water and the sky are the same color. Shui Dongliu's body completely disappeared and merged into the water spout. Huh. This time it was Suren's turn to be confused. He was the first to be able to escape after being hit by his own river god skill. But it's normal. River god doesn't have a locked-in kill skill like drawing the sword, and there is still a certain delay in its release process. Shui Dongliu reacted and used Shui Tianyis to completely merge with the water. Haha, that idiot is lucky he didn't die. Far away, the 3 blood demons were secretly observing the battle in the distance. Seeing Shui Dongliu deflated, the blood demon laughed happily. Master Protector, how about, let's go. I am a little scared. Den Yan was the first to propose a retreat. Yang An also nodded, obviously he was also afraid. Even Shui Dongliu, who had his back to the sea, almost died in that person's hands with one move. If they kept watching and were discovered by the other party, the game wouldn't be over yet. Why are you so anxious? Although that bitch is arrogant, he can still fight in the sea. Let's watch for a while. If something goes wrong, we will leave immediately. You must leave him alone. When the two of them heard this, they thought it was no nonsense. If you don't dare to save him, how can we dare to go there? Should we go there to give you experience? In the sea water, if Shui Dongliu's consciousness had a heartbeat, it would definitely be beating wildly at this moment. If he had reacted just half a second slower, he would have been dead. This person is so weird, I was a little careless. But I won't give him another chance this time. With a thought in Shui Dongliu's mind, dozens of water spouts appeared on the sea and attacked the flying boat. The speed is so fast that it cannot be compared to the water column just now. But the next moment, these water spouts were forcibly put together. Suren stepped out of the flying boat and landed steadily on the water spout. You drive the flying boat farther away. After giving the instructions, Suren looked towards the sea. He used the river god's skill to investigate, but couldn't find where the other person was. His hiding is different from that of the blood demon. It seems that every drop of sea water is his essence. Suren waved his right hand, and the sea water thousands of meters deep spread out around him, centered on him. After a while, a circular seabed surrounded by sea water was directly exposed in front of everyone. The water spout carried Suren and fell to the seabed. This. Xiao Ding and others who had not yet flown far away looked at the scene that was like a god descending to earth, and their heartbeats doubled. What kind of power is this, that it can command the sea? Senior Su is not the reincarnation of a god, is he? Mu Liansheng said tremblingly. He is so scary. The huge waves in Cao Bufan's heart at this time were no smaller than the huge waves on the sea. What kind of existence did he provoke before? Fortunately, the other party didn't care about him. Extremely far away. Damn it, Lord Protector, let's run. Come on, we can't stay in this place anymore, my dear mother, this is not human. The blood demon's newly restored blood turned pale with fright. My legs are a little weak, please help me. I can't use my strength. On the seabed, Suren casually walked a few steps and observed the scattered sea water. Even though it was like this, I still couldn't see where the other party was. Suren had a headache. The invisible enemy was really annoying. If the entire sea was to be evacuated, it would be a catastrophic disaster for everyone, and Suren would definitely not do that. What Suren didn't know was that Shui Dongliu had a bigger headache than him. At this time, he was so frightened that he was completely confused. He wanted to attack, but Hai didn't listen to his orders at all at this time, and stayed still around the man no matter what. The sea upon which he depends completely ignores his skills. No, I have to go. Shui Dongliu had forgotten his heroic words just now, he only had this one thought now. But then a dragon roar sounded from the seabed, interrupting his thoughts. Roar! Master, let me help you. The Ice Dragon King seemed to have completed its evolution, and he saw the scene as soon as he woke up. So it took the initiative to ask for a fight. Suren also wanted to see what it would look like after it evolved, so he released it. The first thing the Ice Dragon King did when he came out was to spit it out with an absolutely frozen mouthful. Absolute zero. The moment the sea water comes into contact with its freezing skill, it turns into ice crystals and quickly condenses into the distance. Not only is it fast, but its range is endless. Seeing the boat freeze together with the water in an instant, the three Gorfiends were so frightened that they jumped into the air and hid. Den Yan, use your fire skills to protect us and escape. The blood demon was not prepared to look any further. If he looked at them for a while, they would become the target of being looked at. The three of them worked together to barely resist the freezing force under their feet. Then he ran across the ice into the distance without looking back. As for Shui Dongliu, his body melted into the sea. When the sea was frozen, he was also frozen here. It seemed that his consciousness and time were almost frozen together. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 177. What is this? Mu Liansheng was the first to speak out in surprise. Now the entire sea is frozen, and this scene looks like the end of the world. This is. Mu Hongxia stared at the giant frost dragon in surprise. A bad memory resurfaced in her mind. The dragon in Tianqian's secret realm. The only difference is that this dragon has half of its horns on its head. This is definitely that dragon, including its roar just now. Mu Hongxia suddenly looked at the person standing on the seabed. At this time, his figure seemed to be perfectly duplicated with Suren. He is Junior Suren. Mu Hongxia murmured. All this was already clear. Last time she had some doubts that those monsters Suren knew about it. Suren pretended not to know that day, which made her go to a psychiatrist later. Now there is another person named Su next to this giant dragon. This can no longer be explained by coincidence. This so-called Senior Su is definitely Suren. When she thought of this, Mu Hongxia became a little angry. Suren had deceived her so miserably. However, this emotion was immediately replaced by shame and anger. She remembered what she had said to her father last night. Xiao Ding was not far from their father and daughter. When he heard Mu Hongxia's words, he looked at her in surprise. Xiao Ding didn't know how Mu Hongxia recognized Suren. Did Mu Hongxia meet the Ice Dragon King? Xiao Ding smiled and shook his head. Now it doesn't matter whether he reveals his identity or not. It's just that Suren is afraid that he will have another fangirl in the future. Xiao Ding looked at the young man under the sea and sighed. It's great to be young. Huh? Brother Xiao, what are you talking about? And my daughter, did you just say Suren? You said Senior Su is Suren. Several people looked at Xiao Ding at the same time, and even Cao Bufan came over. They had been guessing about Senior Su's identity all night, and it seemed that it was about to be revealed. But why does the name Suren sound so familiar? Seeing that he couldn't hide it anymore, Xiao Ding simply explained. Yes, Brother Su is actually Suren from the same guild as your daughter. The young genius Suren who broke the sword god record. Otherwise, how can I, Xiao Ding call him Brother Su? Hearing Xiao Ding's own admission, Mu Liansheng felt like he was stupid. He always thought that the other party was an old man who was dozens or hundreds of years old. But now he has become an 18-year-old boy. The contrast between before and after was so huge that Mu Liansheng couldn't react. You mean he is that Suren? How is this possible? Mu Liansheng remembered that Suren killed the blood demon's clone with one sword, forcing the blood demon to escape, and then used a strange sword to capture Zhou Changsheng who had escaped. That was a level 900 extraterrestrial demon. How could he be forced to run away in a panic by an 18-year-old boy? But now that Xiao Ding has admitted it himself, he can't help but not believe it. Cao Bufan was in a daze now. The so-called senior expert who saved his group was actually the same age as the students he brought with him. His students had long been buried at the bottom of the small world lake, but Suren saved everyone. This gap made him feel suffocated. Donghai Academy originally wanted to compete with Longwu Guild for a spot in the World Championship this year. But now that Suren is here, it seems that it doesn't matter whether they go to Donghai Academy or not. How could there be any young man in this world who could be Suren's opponent? Just talking about this dragon, all the talented young people entering the World Championship combined cannot be his opponent. Mu Hongxia looked blank. She turned out to be Junior Suren. No wonder she saw Suren's figure so familiar, no wonder she thought she had heard Suren's voice somewhere. Later, Suren spoke in a high voice on purpose, probably because he realized that he might recognize him. Brother Xiao, if he is Suren, who is the ice dragon? Xiao Ding smiled and said. What do you think it is that Suren can adopt as a pet? Mu Liansheng frowned, and then suddenly said in shock. You mean it's the Ice Dragon King from Tianzu Mountain? Xiao Ding nodded. Yes, it is the level 880 Ice Dragon King, but it seems that it has changed now. Everyone looked at the mighty Ice and Snow Dragon. Physical defense / magic defense, 1800000/1550000. Really, you believe me? Do you still have this name for a demigod beast? Doesn't that mean you have to eat another crystal core? It doesn't matter whether it's attack or defense. If you can share the blood of the Ice Dragon King, this can perfectly make up for Suren's shortcomings of crispy skin. Guard Protector, Ice Dragon King Skatha can randomly share any of his attributes with the owner. The owner can briefly obtain attribute blessings that last for 3 minutes, with a cooldown time of 5 minutes. HP 9200000/920000000. After reading the attributes, Suren said doubtfully. Advanced Protector, Ice Dragon King Skatha can share all his attributes with his master. The master can briefly receive attribute blessings that last for 10 minutes, with a cooldown time of 3 minutes. It was afraid that Suren would really eat it. The Ice Dragon King is now very frightened. He made a promise, but failed to do so. The demigod beast randomly obtains an attribute, and may not necessarily share the blood volume. If anyone has that ability, it can only be them. Special skill, Guardian. Magic attack, 2,200,000. Master, I had a little accident when I evolved this time. I was almost able to evolve into a mythical beast. It's just that low-level monster cores are definitely useless. Monster cores above level 800 are not something ordinary people can have. Physical attack, 1,500,000. I guess it's because Brother So keeps buying monster crystal cores. Ice Dragon King Skatha. Level, demigod beast, can continue to evolve. However, what they saw was not something majestic, but an Ice Dragon King wagging its tail and looking down in front of Suren. When the Ice Dragon King evolves into a divine beast, he can unlock advanced guardian skills. Level, 900. Seeing the Protector's skill, Suren was really moved. Master, Suren. Explanation: the absolute ruler of Tianzu Mountain has absolute control over ice and snow. If you don't want to be turned into a popsicle by it, then run away. Skills: Frozen Domain, Absolute Zero, Extreme Blizzard, Thousands of Frozen Miles, Ice Protection. After becoming a divine beast, those are all attributes. Therefore, it is still necessary for the Ice Dragon King to be promoted to a divine beast. Suren immediately thought of Caesar's group. I suspect that those monster crystal nuclei were fed to this Ice Dragon King. This is why it immediately shouted to come out to help Suren as soon as it woke up. Suren looked at it with a half smile. He didn't reply to it immediately, but looked at its attribute panel. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 178. Master, Master. The Ice Dragon King looked at Suren in fear and shouted softly. Master, please don't be angry. It's not worth it if you are so angry that you get hurt. Skatha will be sad. Suren came back from his thoughts, glanced at the Ice Dragon King, and said coldly. Didn't you say that you can complete your evolution? What's going on now? Do you know that you spent 200 billion on me? Even Cair didn't spend that much money. Although Suren needs its guardian skill, it cannot show it. Otherwise, if this stupid dragon knew about it, he wouldn't know how much he would be able to do. So Suren directly gave it a slap in the face, scaring it first. Sure enough, when the Ice Dragon King heard what Suren said, the whole dragon was in bad shape. Master, please listen to my explanation. I'm just a little behind. Really, as long as you give me another dragon crystal, I will definitely evolve into a divine beast. Huh? Do you want dragon crystal? Suren thought that a high-level monster crystal core would be enough. What a picky eater. Compared with ordinary monster crystal cores, dragon crystal is twice as difficult to obtain. It would be very difficult to find another dragon crystal. Master, I am a dragon, so of course I have to eat dragon crystals. Stop talking nonsense. Why didn't Cair say she wanted to eat phoenix crystal? The Ice Dragon King hurriedly explained. Sister Cair can use her divine phoenix flames to refine all monster crystal nuclei for her use, but I can't. Forget it, I'll have a good talk with you later. I'll see how the man from the Night God sect is doing. Hearing this, the Ice Dragon King felt relieved and finally survived the disaster. On the way to evolve into a divine beast, in its view, the disaster from Suren is more terrifying than the natural disaster. Master, don't worry, in my new skill Absolute Zero, everything including time will be frozen, for 3 minutes. Even if he's not dead, he's still alive. Suren shook his head, took out a knife, and slashed out. He didn't have time to waste time with this guy. Boom. The sword light slashed through it, and the frozen seawater ice crystals turned directly into ice shards. Ice Dragon King, I take back what I just said. It had just finished boasting that it could freeze everything, and the next second it was cut into pieces by Suren's sword light in the Absolute Zero zone. This is a slap in the face. The Ice Dragon King felt that Suren must have done it on purpose. Looking at the broken ice crystals, Suren frowned and felt it, but he still couldn't find the figure of Shui Dongliu. I don't know if he is dead or not. If he is not dead, the only way to kill him is to rely on Caier's world-destroying flame to evaporate the entire sea water. Glancing at the 9-color divine phoenix egg in the pet space, it was still a long time before Caier hatched. Forget it, let's go. Suren jumped on the Ice Dragon King's head and let it carry him back to the flying boat. Suren was too lazy to waste time here. This person seemed to others to be terrifyingly powerful and he had to be eradicated. But to Suren, he was just a toy. Suren didn't have the time to fight with him. This was the change in mentality brought about by strength. When no one in the world is your opponent, there will be no enemy in your eyes. Maybe the sword god back then also left Blue Star with this mentality and headed for the starry sky. Those so-called abyss demons, extraterrestrial demons, etc. are no longer enemies in his eyes, and he is too lazy to kill them all. In the eyes of the sword god, these monsters are just tools he left for human beings to experience. Seeing Suren return, Mu Hongxia took the lead and said, "Junior Suren, you lied to me so miserably." Suren glanced at Xiao Ding, then at the Ice Dragon King, and understood immediately. Mu Hongxia had met the Ice Dragon King, and it seemed normal to be guessed. "Hello, little girl, we meet again." The Ice Dragon King shrank and flew around Mu Hongxia. "You. It was you last time, otherwise I wouldn't have fainted." "Don't talk nonsense. It was obviously Xiao Hizi who scared you first. It has nothing to do with me." "Little Hizi? Oh, it's also the master's pet beast. It's an abyss demon. It's as black as a ghost. I don't know how they can see each other at night." When Mu Hongxia heard this, she looked at Suren and said, "Junior Suren, you lied to me last time." Suren gave the Ice Dragon King a kick and took it into the pet space. "Why does this bitch say everything to the outside world? Haha, it doesn't matter. Let's go back to Coastal City first, lest the Night God sect comes to act like a monster again." Suren laughed and walked into the cabin, avoiding the topic. "Junior Suren, don't leave, please give me an explanation." Mu Hongxia chased after him relentlessly. Seeing this scene, Xiao Ding looked at Mu Lianshen meaningfully. "Brother Mu, your daughter is probably in danger." Mu Lianshen laughed and said, "Brother Xiao, what you said is wrong. I am afraid that our Mu family is not going to become famous because of this." Mu Lianshen looked at Suren's leaving figure with great satisfaction. "Just kidding, if this is not enough, no one in this world can be worthy of his daughter. I just don't know if Suren can fall in love with his daughter. Come on Hongxia, we must take down Suren." Mu Lianshen cheered for his daughter silently in his heart, completely forgetting what he said to her last night. Damn, why didn't I have a daughter? Xiao Ding suddenly felt that he was at a disadvantage. He spent countless money and energy to establish a good relationship with Suren. Mu Lianshen didn't do anything, just because he had a beautiful daughter who was born first in the nearby water tower. The more Xiaoding thought about it, the more he felt he was at a loss. This time he had to go back and find his wife to make more efforts. After Suren and his party left, the ice shards that had been chopped into pieces slowly melted away and turned into sea water again, flooding the area. After a long time, an extremely embarrassed figure slowly walked out of the sea. Shui Dongliu looked exhausted to the extreme, and his spirit was in a trance. After seeing that he only had less than 5% of his health left, the shock in Shui Dongliu's eyes became even stronger. Who is this person? He will definitely threaten the plans of our night god cult. I'm far from his opponent. I just don't know if the leader and Lord Yagamai can defeat him. No matter what, we can't provoke him anymore for the time being. Shui Dongliu was really scared. If this person kept guarding him for another hour, he would definitely be unable to hold on and reveal his true identity. He will be dead by then. Fortunately, the other party had no interest in guarding him and letting him save his life. Kyoto. Sulai, the head of the Su family in Kyoto, personally visited the Longwu Guild. Wu Zhenyang met him. After learning the information about Suren, Sulai was a little excited and immediately returned home to report to his father. Then the Su family was in a state of excitement. Because Suren is most likely the child of their Su family who lived abroad 18 years ago. If this matter is true, then their Su family will rise. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 179. On the way back to Beach City, everything went smoothly and without any trouble. After arriving at Haven City, Xiaoding went to his hometown. As for where it was, Suren didn't ask, and Xiaoding didn't say either. Cao Bufan looked at Haven City with complicated emotions. He didn't know how to face his parents or how to explain to the people of Donghai Academy. This time, after so many geniuses died, not only could he lose his status as an elder, but he himself might also be severely punished. Suren and Mulianzhen's father and daughter went to the teleport plaza of Seaside City to return to Kyoto. After arriving in Kyoto, Suren, come to my house as a guest when you have time. If anything happens, you can call me at any time to let me know. Mulianzhen looked at Suren and then at his daughter. He asked his daughter to go back to Longwu Guild's house with Suren, but she insisted on going home. Mulianzhen could only look at Mu Hongxia with a look of hatred. With such a good opportunity to be alone, my daughter, why don't you understand the good intentions of a father? I'm really mad at your father and me. On the way back to Mu's house, Mu Hongxia said strangely. Dad, why do you look so unhappy? It was obvious that my father was very happy just now. Mu Liansheng sighed. Why do you think I'm unhappy? It's not because you're disobedient. Thanks to your dad, I don't have a heart disease. Mu Hongxia was even more surprised when she heard this. When did she become disobedient? Didn't he just reject his father's suggestion? It's okay for her to go to the Dragon Martial Arts Guild now. Forget it, you and Suren will walk around more in the future, and don't go barefaced every day. Although you look good without makeup, remember to dress up. Dad, there's no one like you. I won't talk to you anymore. Mu Hongxia lowered her head. She finally understood why her father was unhappy. Mu Liansheng looked helpless. Look at you, you are still shy. At your age, when you meet a good man, you must take the initiative to fight for it, otherwise you will regret it if someone else takes him away. I'm thinking about you. Mu Hongxia didn't reply, she was just thinking about what happened between her and Suren these days. Suren did meet her criteria for choosing a mate, but she knew that on the first day of school, there were two girls fighting for Suren at the entrance of the guild. And those two girls, together with her, are known as the three goddesses of the Dragon Martial Arts Guild. If she joins in again, who will she be? Mistress or mistress? Mu Hongxia shook her head. She could not accept the idea of several women serving one husband. Unless Suren agrees to only marry her. But with Suren's strength and the fact that they were not very familiar with each other, what qualifications did she have to ask Suren? Mu Hongxia threw all these things out of her mind. Individual love between children is always a foreign thing. My goal is to achieve rank 9 and be alone in this life. After separating from Mu Lianzhen's father and daughter, Suren walked alone on the streets of Kyoto. We could have used the wormhole to go directly to the entrance of the Dragon Martial Guild's small world. But Suren still chose to walk over slowly, thinking about something. Thinking about the truth about the world. Although he did not agree with the practices of the Yeshen cult, Suren was still somewhat interested in their purpose. The surface of this world is similar to that of Earth, but this world is full of many things and rules that are not found on Earth. Nightmares, awakening temples, teleportation arrays, etc. are actually not big secrets. The most important thing is how can this world realize the digitalization of everything but still be full of vitality? Are all humans robots designed by a super civilization? Some robots with better programs will be given better systems, and the system will give corresponding growth plans based on the growth direction of their programs. They will manifest unique skills based on the unique characteristics of their program. These people are called professionals. Some programs are generally unable to awaken, and are then called ordinary people. Suren felt a little creepy when he thought of this. However, all this is just his conjecture. The specific truth needs to be discovered by himself. Next time I meet someone from the Yeshen cult, I have to catch one and ask them. I don't know how much they know. Or is the truth they know the truth that others want them to know? Suren shook his head. The most important thing for him now is to change jobs and upgrade. He was still gasping for air as he stood up, obviously hurt. If it were to hit an ordinary person at such a high speed, the ordinary person would be killed on the spot. She had never been beaten by anyone since she was a child. Her brothers loved her very much and were afraid that she would be wronged. There was a loud noise. Suren was fine. The girl on the bike flew backwards together with her motorcycle. Amelia Su looked at Suren angrily. Snapped. Oh my God, that guy is okay. Hearing that her first sentence when she stood up was to accuse him, Suren frowned and said coldly. A scream woke Suren from his thoughts. Even if the head of the country comes in person, he still has to give face to the old man of the Su family. A clear slap sounded on her face. He was walking on the roadside when a heavy motorcycle rushed through the green belt beside the road and hit him. At this time, someone looked at the red-haired girl lying on the ground and exclaimed. Isn't this the darling of the Su family, Amelia Su? It should be a high-level professional, otherwise who can handle a motorcycle at such a speed? Forget it if you don't apologize. How dare you blame me? I told you to get out of here, why are you holding back? The other party seemed to have no intention of braking, and just hit Suren straight away. There was also a girl about 14 or 15 years old with red hair on the motorcycle who was screaming. Unexpectedly, she was slapped by a stranger today. Get away. But he looks so young. Even if a professional with level 3 or above is hit by this, he will lose most of his health. It can be said that she is loved by thousands of people. A group of people looked at Suren and discussed. These people were basically ordinary people, and most of them did not know Suren. After the 8th rank possesses the godhood, evolves the river god skills to perfection, and swims in the river for a long time, all this will become clear. I see that you are not old, but you seem to lack discipline. I can supervise you for your parents. Suzayao's eyes turned red, and she immediately sat on the ground and cried loudly in grievance. Suren directly gathered a palm-sized ball of water vapor and fanned it. Boom. Amelia Su was stunned on the spot. This young man is dead and has offended the people of the Su family. Who doesn't know that Nanjing in Kyoto belongs to the Su family? Her grandfather did not allow anyone to bully her, because she was the only girl and the youngest among the younger generation of the Su family. The sound here quickly attracted a group of passers-by. While everyone was still discussing, Amelia Su slowly stood up while rubbing her legs. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 180. At this time, everyone watching was dumbfounded. Is he crazy? This is the little princess of the Su family. Oh my god, it's over, this man is definitely doomed. He dared to hit Amelia Su. I bet he will disappear before tonight without leaving any traces. Everyone pointed at Suren and shook their heads and sighed. At this time, someone had already sent a message to inform several young people of the Su family. In Nanjing, the Su family's hands and eyes are all over the place, and their spies are everywhere. The Su family will soon find out about such a big deal as the little princess of the Su family being beaten. Listening to the discussions around him, Suren looked at the girl again. Arrogant and domineering, he seems to have the same surname as him. It seems that the Su family in Beijing is not a good person. Suren was too lazy to talk to Amelia Su anymore, so he raised his feet and walked out of the crowd. But at this time, several people stood up and stopped Suren and said, "This little brother, you may not be able to leave for the time being. You are in trouble. You know her." Suren looked at the people who stopped him. "Haha, how do we brothers deserve to know Miss Su? We just draw our swords to help when we see injustice. You hit someone and you still want to leave." They were just ordinary people, and they also knew that Suren, who could be hit by such a fast motorcycle without getting hurt, was a professional. But they still stopped Suren. It's not because they are stupid, but because this is Nanjing, and if they do this, they will definitely win the favor of the Su family. So they stood up. "I see your eyes are fine, but when did you become blind? Didn't you see that she hit me with her bicycle?" Several people laughed when they heard this. "Haha, do you know who she is? Even if she asks you to stand on the road waiting for her to hit you, you must stand over. Because this is Nanjing, and the surname here is Su. Do you understand, boy?" Suren nodded. Several people thought that Suren finally understood and was afraid, but they didn't want to think about the next moment. Puff. The fingers of several people's right hands were broken in response. Ah! Several screams came together, and several people knelt on the ground in pain and covered their fingers. "I will teach you a lesson by leaving you alive. Don't think that you can control everything." Suren put away the knife and walked forward. At this time, the onlookers were startled and quickly made way for Suren to come out. Now no one dared to stop Suren. They didn't expect that this man would actually dare to take action and not give the Su family any face. "Why do I feel like I've seen this boy before? He feels so familiar." At this time, someone touched his head in confusion. The person next to this person shook his head and said, "I don't know if you have seen him before. I only know that he will never appear again." "Wrong. He is Suren. I just said I saw it somewhere." "Suren? He is also from the Su family." "What about the Su family?" "He is the #1 genius in the Dragon Kingdom this year, surpassing countless prodigies who are comparable to the young sword gods." The man murmured. "Now we are really in for a good show. Suren is a genius personally invited by the president of Longwu Guild, and now he has provoked our Nanjing Su family again. I wonder what will happen next? If Mr. Su takes action in person, I am afraid that the president of the Longwu Guild will have to sell him some face. I guess Suren will bow his head and apologize." When the people next to him heard this, they seemed to remember who Suren was. It's a pity that geniuses who haven't grown up can only choose to bow their heads and apologize. Everyone shook their heads in regret after hearing this. At this time, Suziao also stopped crying, wiped her tears and looked at the damaged motorcycle. In fact, she didn't really want to hit Suren. It was just that the brakes of the motorcycle failed. She rushed across the green belt in a panic and then hit Suren. What she felt aggrieved was that she had asked Suren to go away, but the other party still beat her. She had been spoiled and domineering since she was a child, and she habitually shouted the word "go away." She always seems to use the word "get out" when asking people to go away. The key is that no one dared to teach her the correct and polite way, so she thought it was normal. Call. Several piercing sounds came from a distance at high speed. Several flying beasts covered in flames landed. Everyone saw this and backed away. It's Sucheng, the third young master of the Su family. Sucheng loves his sister the most. Suren may be in trouble now. Is it you, Suren? After Sucheng finished speaking, he mounted the flying beast again and chased after him. Stop. And considering how evil Suren is, once he grows up, how many brothers will there be in the Su family? Where's the person who hit my sister? Is there a problem? Third young master, you have to make the decision for us. Sucheng's voice became even colder when he heard this. Sucheng looked at the people watching around him and said coldly. Sucheng had already figured it out. Before Suren recognized his ancestor and returned to his clan, he would give him a lesson first. Thinking of this, Sucheng stopped talking nonsense and took out a whip and whipped Suren. Seeing the slap marks and tear stains on his sister's face, Sucheng became angry instantly. Just a few days ago, his grandfather had informed the entire clan that Suren from the Longwu Guild was most likely their brother. And this Sucheng is already a 5th-level professional, right? Sucheng glanced in the direction and immediately ordered his subordinates. At this time, one of the people with broken fingers pointed at the direction Suren left with his good hand and cried bitterly. How brave! Third young master, we wanted to stand up for the young lady, but that man didn't give the Su family any face. After beating the young lady, he even cut off the fingers of our brothers. Ada, Aer, you two will follow me to chase that person, and the rest of you will take care of my sister. If there is one more person, the property will be divided by one more person. I'm afraid they won't be able to raise their heads in the future. It's been so many years, only my Su family has bullied others, and no one has dared to bully my Su family in Nanjing. You were the one who beat my sister. After Suren left the crowd, within 2 minutes, 3 flying beasts chased him from behind. Everyone was as silent as a cicada, not daring to speak. Suren just changed jobs this year, right? Sucheng has always been arrogant in doing things. He will never care about the face of Longwu Guild. Now Suren is afraid that he will be beaten half to death. Humph, I don't care who you are, if you dare to hit my sister, you can't leave today. Give him a good beating now so that he won't even have a chance to take action later. When the brothers heard the news, they were actually not happy at first. Sucheng looked at Suren indifferently, but when he saw Suren's face clearly, a look of shock appeared on his face. Then it roared and stopped in front of him. With Suren's talent, he will definitely be cared for by his grandfather. After the flying beast landed, the leading young man jumped down and quickly walked to Amelia Su to help her up. Suren looked at this man calmly.